Ladies and gents, PepperBelly back again with some more Squad, and in this video I want to discuss the game because as some of you may or may not know, the game was actually released today on Steam Early Access for $40 US. And what I want to talk about is exactly what you're going to get from the game right now for that price, and the general consensus of how the game is being received by the gaming community, especially the Steam community. Now there seems to be a lot of hesitation and concern from a lot of people about the pricing of this game. There's actually a lot of individuals out there who are voicing their concerns, whether it be on Reddit or on the Steam forums, about the price of the game, thinking that they're paying for an inadequate product at an absurd full price. And although your concerns are somewhat justified because, hey, it is an early access game, it is not complete yet, and it is being sold for $40. It was actually raised. I remember initially it was going to be $35 US once it came to early access. They raised that price to $40. So, I mean, I didn't really understand why they did that. I mean, an extra $5 can go a long way in the grand scheme of things when you actually add up all the prices all together, or all the purchasers, consumers all together. It could make a difference, that extra $5. But even then, I'm not entirely 100% certain as to why they felt the need to increase that price by an additional $5, because I know it would cause this kind of confliction where it would deter potential buyers, right? They'd see that price, they'd be like, whoa, $40 for early access, that seems a little steep. And that's exactly what's happening. People are sitting there in the forums, they're voicing their concerns about the price, and they're thinking it's absurd. And they can't fathom the price range, what they're asking for the game in early access. They think they're going to be getting a very early alpha title. And I'm one of the individuals who's trying to voice my opinion by saying the game has been in pre-alpha and closed alpha for about 5 months now. It's not like you're getting the very first iteration of the game. You're getting a well-constructed, well-developed early access title right now. Right? Like, you're paying for the entire game. You're going to get all future content free. So it's like, that's how early access works. Right? You purchase a game before it's completed on a gamble that in the end you're going to get your money's worth. And on top of that, usually in early access you pay a certain amount, and that's all you need to pay forever, right? Unless they come out with DLC or decide to add microtransactions or other kind of garbage, which would probably ruin the game if they were to do that. I'm talking about any game, not just specifically Squad here. So in the end, it's Squad's doing things right, where it was actually tested thoroughly by a lot of players who put in way more money than $40 to be able to play it earlier. And they don't regret it. All of them love the time they spent in the game. So why are a lot of people so concerned about a $40 price tag on an early access game that has been given immensely good reviews? Like, you look at the Steam reviews right now, and it is sitting at 96% positive with 292 reviews. That's right now at the time of this recording. That is immense. Like, that is a very, very good first impression for a lot of people. And there are over 2,000 people who have clearly purchased this game right now, because there are over 2,000 people playing it right now. That's a pretty fantastic milestone to achieve on your first day of release, considering there have been a lot of games releasing lately that have not been getting that kind of attention. It's actually the top sold game on Steam at the moment, which is awesome, and it's exactly what I wanted to see. So people are concerned about the price range. Okay, I can understand where you're coming from because it is a $40 price tag, but you need to get your facts straight and understand the current situation before you start babbling nonsense, thinking that this product is completely far off from being finished. In fact, I think what's here right now is totally justified for the price. That's just me speaking from like what I've experienced. I mean, I have about 11 hours in the Steam version, and I have like a shit ton more in the closed alpha. And I can tell you from what I've experienced, even the game in its current state right now is a phenomenal infantry shooter that is totally worth the price. You get a variety of maps, you get 4 factions. Like, there's a ton of replayability here. Although it kind of does remind me of, you know, Battlefront, where it's like limited in terms of the large amount of content that's available, but it's all going to come for this game and at no additional price. It's not like Battlefront where you're being charged your entire soul like for barely nothing. Here you're paying a modest $40 US price for everything in the future being completely free and completed. So I mean, in the end, it's entirely up to you. And if you actually do purchase it and you don't feel like you got your money's worth and you're resenting the fact that you did, there's Steam refunds. There is like nothing stopping you from being able to get a refund, unless of course you play over 2 hours, which even then, there are exceptions. I imagine there could be exceptions for this game, considering that games in this can last up to an hour. So you will probably get most of the experience right off the bat within that 2-hour time frame and be able to make a conclusive assessment whether or not you want to actually keep the game, which I'm sure most of you who will play it will probably want to, because you'll see the potential here and you'll even enjoy what's currently available. So I mean, that's my personal take on it. People, it's totally subjective to each individual person themselves. Me personally, I love games like this. This is what I've been waiting for a very long time. So naturally, to me, it's totally worth that price tag. For others, it may not be so, because this is a niche game, right? The kind of game it is doesn't appeal to a large variety of people like Call of Duty or Battlefield or any other type of arcade shooter. This is a very tactical, team-oriented, highly, I wouldn't say insanely realistic, but gets to a certain amount of realism that gives it a very accurate portrayal of real combat. So like I said, for me, it's worth it. In another comparison, it's like saying Call of Duty to me isn't worth the $60 price tag because it's an obnoxious arcade shooter with not a whole lot of content when you want to compare it to a lot of other games. Or even Battlefront being sold for $60. It's a casual game, has barely any content. I'm pretty sure everyone can agree on that front, that whether or not you're a huge fan or not of the Star Wars franchise, you can pretty much agree that game has limited content and is overcharging for what you're getting. But again, it's entirely subjective. What you're paying for may be worth it to you and not to others, so it's something to absolutely keep in mind when deciding to spend money on a game, especially an early access title. You want to support the developers, you want to see this game become a fleshed out, fully released title. Giving money is a surefire way of ensuring that could potentially happen. And as a result, you get to play the game as it develops over time and see the evolution of the game's development firsthand and get to experience it, as well as being able to voice your concerns and give feedback to the developers in real time so they can make adjustments for the better of the game. So I mean, again, entirely up to you. If you feel it's worth it, you want to play this kind of game, it appeals to you, and you don't mind spending $40 on an early access title that is well fleshed out and has a bright future ahead, then by all means, make the purchase and enjoy what you can right now. Otherwise, hold off. Now, to actually talk about the game, because I've actually done this a lot in the past. I have already like numerous videos where I discuss Squad in depth, how I feel about it, especially the last one I put out where I spoke exactly how this game appeals to me and what it is that draws me into it and why I love it so much when compared to a lot of other shooters out there. And it's a very highly team-based shooter. It's a tactical shooter and it focuses heavily on team play. That is a very important thing to remember, because this isn't a game that you're going to jump into and you're going to go run around and do your own thing. Because as a result, you'll probably get either kicked from the game or you'll just get kicked out of your squad. Because when you join this game, you get into a match and you join a squad, you have to work as a team. Not doing it is detrimental to the entire experience and to your actual team's success. There's squad leaders and a somewhat hierarchy within the game for a reason. You listen to those in charge, they will tell you where to go, they will put you to use based on your role. And as a result, it feels like you really are conducting a military operation, because that's how things are in real life. In the real world, you have a purpose and you follow orders, right? That's what you got to do. You have a role, this is your job, either you're a grenadier, or you're a support gunner, or you're a marksman, a designated marksman. You have a very distinct role to play, and a good squad leader will utilize every single member's abilities to benefit the mission. And Squad lets you do that in a very authentic way that just feels so good and rewarding of an experience. Combat is chaotic. The sound assets, the sound design of this game is phenomenal. It's spot on. In fact, I've been talking about this on the forums recently today, where we were talking about the actual gun sounds and how some people wish they sounded meatier with more bass, or sounded different, or they sounded weak. And then, of course, there's a lot of people who actually came into the comments, or into the forum, and were discussing as well, commenting on the topic, saying that those of us who have fired weapons in real life, who have dealt with firearms, like the way the guns sound in the game. Because a lot of people that play games tend to think guns sound a lot more meaty because of the way games depict them. And unfortunately, that's a very misguided way of looking at how weapons actually sound. Because in Squad, I can tell you right now, the way the M4 sounds is pretty much spot on. Same with the M249. To what an actual weapon sounds like when you're firing it with hearing protection on. It sounds exactly like that. It's, like I said, almost I would say it's about a 96% accuracy ratio or percentage to what an actual M4 M249 sounds like. AK-47s, that's a whole other story, because I think the way that they sounded before, because it actually changed halfway through the closed alpha, where they actually changed the way the AK sound, and they sound a little bit duller, and that's something I didn't really like too much. I think they sounded more accurate and realistic before, but again, whole other topic. But in the end, all the features, all the little things come together into a culmination of what represents a very authentic experience to real world combat that is unmatched by any other game I've played. And I've said this countless times. I've said it like almost every single video I've talked about Squad. It's always the same rehashed kind of statement where it delivers this level of authenticity that seems to be unmatched by any other game I've played. Which is a bold statement, considering you have milsims like Arma out there, where people would say that this game is clearly way more realistic. And you would be right, because it is a military simulator. There's a lot more complexity there. The thing that's so great about Squad is it finds this sweet balance, like I said in the past, between being a arcade shooter like Battlefield and a milsim like Arma. It has the level of fidelity to become like a milsim, but the simplicity of a game like Battlefield. And when you combine those two ingredients, you get this tactical shooter that stands on its own outside of the shooter genre, making it a unique experience. It's incredibly simplified, which is amazing. At the same time, there's this level of depth and complexity that is comparable to a lot of other, well, mainly just Arma, a military simulator. So, I mean, as a result, you have this phenomenal experience, this incredible game that is just, to me, unique and stands out from the rest in a profound way. And that's why I love this game so much. So if you're on the fence about it, that's a totally valid concern. You know, if you're thinking that you don't want to spend $40, you want to wait for the price to go down, or maybe it goes on sale in the future, or you want to wait till more content's added, that's an absolutely fine mentality to have. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. You're not in the wrong. You can wait and be patient. There's no rush to get the game right now. Unless, of course, you're impatient and you just want to get in here and experience this game currently while supporting the developers, then, like I said before, by all means, making the purchase is totally justified as well. So, in the end, I would say do your research. Watch videos, read reviews, all of what needs to be done for you to come to a conclusion whether or not you really feel like you want to invest in this product's future, whether or not you want to actually see it develop, whether or not you want to actually pay money right now for what you're going to get. Because nobody can really assure you what you're going to get is worth it. Because, like I said, it's purely subjective. Everyone has different views on what is worth a certain value of money to them. And in the end, if you do not feel it was worth it, like I said before, you can issue a Steam refund. You can play it for 2 hours. You don't end up thinking it was worth it. You just get a refund, problem solved. And then you can wait a little while longer until the game is developed further down the line. It's entirely up to you. So there's no pressure there. I personally love it. I will continue to play it well into its years as it progresses and, you know, gets more content, like vehicles, which should be coming hopefully soon, within the next 2 or 3 months tops. So that's going to be exciting to see happen within the game. But again, entirely up to you. So my name's been PepperBelly. Thank you guys for joining me today on this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.